Most people never get where they want in life, not because they don't have the talent, not because they don't have the opportunity, but because they let their feelings dictate their actions. Your mood will lie to you. Your mood will tell you to take it easy, to push it to tomorrow, to wait until you feel inspired. But success does not wait for your mood. Success belongs to the ones who stick to the plan, no matter how they feel. Think about it. There are days when you wake up with fire in your belly. You're unstoppable, driven, focused, ready to crush everything. On those days, it's easy to follow through. But what about the days when you don't feel like it? When the alarm goes off and you want to roll over, when fear whispers that you're not ready, when doubt screams louder than your vision, that's the test. That's where greatness is forged, not in the days of inspiration, but in the days of resistance. Winners know the secret. Discipline beats mood every single time. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never get anywhere. Champions don't wait for motivation. They build habits. They create a plan, they commit to it, and they execute regardless of how they feel. The plan is the compass. The plan is the anchor. The plan is the roadmap when your emotions try to drag you off course. Your mood is temporary. It shifts with the weather, with the news, with what someone said to you this morning. But your plan is solid. Your plan is the contract you made with your future self. And if you honor that contract, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're tired, even when your mind screams for comfort, you will separate yourself from the crowd. Because most people live at the mercy of their emotions, while the few who rise above stick to the plan. Let me tell you the truth. The breakthrough you want isn't going to come on a day when you feel amazing. It's going to come on a day when you don't feel like doing it at all, but you do it anyway. That's when you prove to yourself that you're in control. Not your fear, not your doubt, not your laziness, but you. That's when you build the muscle of self-mastery, and once you master yourself, there's nothing outside of you that can stop you. So the next time your mood tells you to quit, remember the plan. When your body says, "I'm tired," but the plan says, "one more rep," follow the plan. When your mind says, "you'll never make it," but the plan says, "stay consistent," follow the plan. When distractions pull at you, when excuses sound tempting, when comfort seems easier, remember that your plan is the bridge to your dream. Stick to the plan, not your mood, because moods fade, but results last. The life you want is waiting on the other side of your consistency. Discipline must be stronger than emotion, because if you allow your feelings to run the show, they'll take you in circles. They'll trap you in the cycle of starting strong and quitting early, of dreaming big but never finishing. Discipline is the force that cuts through the noise of mood swings, distractions, and excuses. It's the anchor you hold onto when everything inside you says, "take the easy way out." Your emotions are temporary. They rise and fall with circumstances, with energy levels, with whether someone spoke kindly to you or criticized you. But discipline is permanent. It doesn't ask how you feel. It simply asks what needs to be done. And it gets it done. That's why people who live by their emotions live lives full of regret, while people who live by discipline create lives full of results. When you rely on feelings to determine your actions, you end up sabotaging your future. Your mood will tell you to skip the gym, but discipline will tell you that your health depends on today's workout. Your mood will say you deserve to slack off after a long day, but discipline will remind you that your dreams don't care how tired you are. Discipline doesn't negotiate, it doesn't compromise, it doesn't care about your comfort, it only cares about progress. And the truth is, progress feels better than any temporary comfort your mood is begging for right now. The power of discipline is that it creates momentum, and momentum carries you forward even on the days you feel like quitting. Think of the most successful people in any field: athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. They are not successful because they always feel motivated. They are successful because they refuse to let their moods determine their actions. When they don't feel like training, they train anyway. When they don't feel like showing up, they show up anyway. That's the difference between someone who talks about goals and someone who achieves them. Discipline is not about denying your emotions. It's about refusing to be ruled by them. It's about saying, yes, I feel tired, I feel unmotivated, I feel unsure, but I will act anyway because the plan matters more than my mood. The human brain is wired to seek comfort, to avoid pain, to look for the easiest path. That's why your mood will always try to convince you to rest, delay, or give up. But the very things your mood tries to protect you from the struggle, the discomfort, the effort, are the exact things that will make you grow. Discipline is choosing growth over comfort, choosing long-term reward over short-term relief, and the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Discipline, like a muscle, grows with repetition. Every time you choose the plan over your mood, you reinforce the identity of someone who does not break promises to themselves, someone who cannot be swayed by laziness, fear, or doubt. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. You will have days where your mood is strong enough to convince you to hesitate, to slow down, maybe even to stumble. But if you keep coming back to discipline, if you keep showing up despite how you feel, you'll realize that your emotions are like passing storms. They come and go, but they don't define you. Discipline is the sun behind the clouds, steady and constant, waiting to shine through as long as you don't give up. And when you stack enough days of choosing discipline over emotion, you look back and see progress that would have been impossible if you had waited for the perfect mood. Discipline gives you freedom. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's true. When you are disciplined, you free yourself from the chains of procrastination, from the weight of regret, from the endless loop of starting over again and again. Discipline builds confidence because every time you follow through on your commitments despite how you feel, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That trust becomes the foundation of unstoppable belief, and that belief pushes you toward results that no mood could ever deliver. Your plan is the contract with your future self, a promise that what you want most will not be sacrificed for what you want right now. It's not just a list of goals or tasks. It's a declaration that you are serious about building the life you've envisioned. When you create a plan, you're not writing down dreams, you're creating a roadmap to turn those dreams into reality. And just like any contract, it carries weight. It means that even when your present self feels weak, tired, or unmotivated, you still owe it to your future self to show up. The person you want to become is counting on you to honor that agreement. Breaking that contract doesn't just delay progress. It breaks trust with yourself, and nothing is more damaging than proving to yourself that you can't rely on your own word. Most people fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't keep their word to themselves. They treat their plan as optional, something they'll follow when it's convenient instead of the binding contract it should be. But the truth is, every skipped commitment, every time you give in to the voice of comfort, you weaken that contract. And every time you stick to it despite your mood, you strengthen it. That's why discipline and trust are so closely connected. You can't have one without the other. When you consistently honor your plan, you build an unshakable sense of integrity within yourself. And that integrity becomes a powerful force that pushes you through challenges that stop other people cold. Your future self doesn't need excuses. It doesn't need stories. It doesn't need moods. It needs you to follow through. Imagine 5 years from now looking back and realizing you had the chance to build the life you wanted, but you let temporary emotions rob you of it. That vision alone should be enough to remind you why the plan matters more than the mood. Because in the end, the results you want will not come from how often you felt motivated. They will come from how often you honored the plan. Your mood is short-term, but the plan is long-term. Your mood cares about how you feel this hour, but the plan cares about the life you'll be living years from now. The plan doesn't care whether today feels easy or difficult. It doesn't care whether you slept well or whether you feel like taking a break. It's written to serve the bigger picture, not the present comfort, and that's the beauty of it. It takes the decision, making out of the hands of your fluctuating emotions. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" you ask, What does the plan say I must do? That shift alone can change everything, because when the plan is the authority, your mood loses its power to dictate your actions. You are no longer a prisoner of feelings. You are the commander of your destiny. Think of the plan as a bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Every time you follow it, you take a step forward across that bridge. Stop following it and you stop moving. Tear up the contract and you remain stuck on the side you've always been on. But if you keep honoring the plan, even when it feels inconvenient, eventually you'll reach the other side and become the version of yourself you've been striving toward. And when you get there, you won't remember the moods that tried to stop you. You'll remember the commitment that carried you through. The truth is, your mood will always try to renegotiate the contract. It will whisper, skip today, you'll make it up tomorrow. It will argue you deserve a break. It will tempt you with distractions and comfort, but the plan is not up for renegotiation. The plan is non-negotiable because the life you want is non-negotiable. Every time you let the mood override the plan, you push your goals further away. But every time you stand firm and honor the contract, you pull your future closer. That's why it's not just a plan, it's a pact, a sacred agreement that your future matters more than your momentary feelings. Success is built on consistency, not motivation. Because motivation is a spark, while consistency is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark has faded. Anyone can feel motivated for a day, a week, or even a month, but only the consistent ones see results. Motivation is exciting, it makes you feel unstoppable, but it's unreliable. It comes and goes depending on your mood, your circumstances, or the energy around you. Consistency, however, doesn't depend on inspiration. It depends on commitment. It's about showing up day after day, putting in the work, and stacking small wins until they transform into massive results. People who wait for motivation will always be chasing, while people who rely on consistency will always be building. The truth is, most dreams die not because people lack the ability, but because they lack consistency. They start with energy and enthusiasm, but when the novelty wears off, when the road gets hard, when the results don't come as quickly as they hoped, they stop. They tell themselves they'll get back to it when they feel motivated again, but that day rarely comes. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not about being hyped up every day. It's about being disciplined enough to do the work even when the excitement has vanished. Success doesn't care if you're motivated. It only cares if you showed up today and did what needed to be done. Think about the power of compound interest, not in money, but in effort. One workout doesn't make you strong. One study session doesn't make you an expert. One day of focus doesn't change your life. But doing it day after day, week after week, builds a foundation that cannot be shaken. That's the essence of consistency. Every repetition, every action, every small step adds up until suddenly you realize you've created momentum. And momentum is what separates achievers from dreamers. Consistency is not about massive leaps forward. It's about steady, relentless progress that compounds over time into extraordinary results. The danger of relying on motivation is that it tricks you into thinking effort only matters when you feel inspired. But feelings are temporary. They shift with your mood, your energy, your environment. If you allow those feelings to control your actions, you'll always be inconsistent, and inconsistency kills progress. Consistency doesn't ask how you feel, it asks if you're committed. And the truth is, the most successful people in the world often didn't feel motivated on the days they achieved their greatest breakthroughs. They just kept going because their commitment was stronger than their feelings. Consistency also builds identity. Every time you show up and follow through, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who keeps going. That identity becomes powerful because the more consistent you are, the less you have to rely on willpower. It becomes who you are, not just what you do. You no longer have to convince yourself to take action. You simply act because that's who you are. That's why consistency is more valuable than motivation. It doesn't just create results, it creates a new version of you, someone unstoppable, someone resilient, someone who doesn't need to wait for a perfect mood to make progress. The road to success is filled with moments when you'll want to quit. You'll feel tired, distracted, frustrated, maybe even hopeless. Motivation will not save you in those moments. It will be nowhere to be found, but consistency will. Consistency will remind you that quitting today means breaking the chain, losing the progress you've built, betraying the promise you made to yourself. Consistency keeps you moving when the finish line feels invisible, when the journey feels endless. And if you just keep stacking consistent effort, eventually the finish line shows up. And you cross it not because you were motivated every day, but because you refuse to stop. The beauty of consistency is that it doesn't require perfection. It only requires persistence. You don't need to have the best day every day. You just need to keep showing up. Even small actions, repeated with consistency, create massive change over time. And when others have burned out, when others have given up waiting for the motivation to return, you'll still be standing, still making progress, still moving toward the life you want. That's why success belongs to the consistent. Not the motivated. Greatness is forged on the hard days, not the easy ones, because it's in the moments of resistance, struggle, and doubt that your character is truly tested and strengthened. Anyone can show up when it's convenient, when the sun is shining, when everything feels aligned, but the ones who rise to greatness are those who show up when it feels impossible. The hard days are the training ground for champions, the furnace that burns away weakness, excuses, and hesitation. They don't just build skill, they build resilience, grit, and an unshakable mindset. On the easy days, you enjoy the rewards of your effort, but on the hard days, you earn them. The truth is, without the struggle, there is no greatness, only comfort masquerading as progress when everything feels heavy. When you don't feel like you have the strength to push forward, that's when the seeds of greatness are planted. Your body wants to stop, your mind wants to quit, your emotions scream for relief, but if you can push through that moment, you grow stronger than you were yesterday. That's why the hard days are not setbacks, they are setups for growth. They force you to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had, to sharpen your focus when distractions and doubts are loudest. These are the days that separate the ones who want success from the ones who are willing to earn it. Most people run from hard days. They see struggle as a sign that they're failing, when in reality, struggle is the proof that they're growing. Muscles don't grow without resistance, and neither do you. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, you must embrace the days when you feel like quitting, because those are the days that are building the very foundation of your future success. Every time you endure a tough day and still follow through, you're proving to yourself that you're bigger than your circumstances, stronger than your excuses, and more committed than your doubts. Think about the stories of every great achiever. Their defining moments weren't the easy victories. They were the times when the odds were against them, when nothing seemed to go right, when the temptation to give up was overwhelming. It was in those moments that they chose to keep going, and that decision is what carved their legacy. Greatness doesn't come from comfort, it comes from perseverance through discomfort. It's forged in the silence of early mornings, in the grind no one else sees, in the persistence to keep moving when the results haven't shown up yet. The hard days are also where discipline outshines motivation. On easy days, motivation feels like enough, but on hard days, motivation disappears. That's when you rely on your commitment to the plan, not your feelings. Every time you overcome a hard day, you add a layer of mental armor that makes the next challenge easier to face. You realize that the hard day you feared was not as powerful as your will to overcome it. And once you've conquered one, the next one becomes less intimidating, because you know you've done it before and you can do it again. Greatness is not built overnight. It's built brick by brick, day by day, especially on the days you least want to build. Skipping the hard days may feel easier in the moment, but it costs you progress, confidence, and self-respect. Facing the hard days may feel painful, but it rewards you with growth, strength, and a sense of unshakable belief in yourself. That belief becomes your power, your edge, the thing that allows you to achieve what others only dream of when the day feels heavy, when the excuses pile up, when your body and mind beg you to stop. Remember that this is the moment you've been waiting for. Because the easy days don't make you, they reward you. The hard days are what shape you into someone capable of handling the success you desire. They are the test, and how you respond determines whether you stay ordinary or rise to greatness. Moods fade, but results remain, and that is why relying on how you feel in the moment will never get you the life you truly want. Emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, they change with the tide of your day. But results are permanent. They don't care how you felt when you worked for them. They only reflect the actions you took. The truth is, the moments when you felt tired, unmotivated, or uninspired will be forgotten. But the results you built by acting anyway will still be there. Your future doesn't remember your moods. It only remembers your discipline, your decisions, and your effort when you let moods dictate your actions. You trade long-term reward for short-term comfort. That comfort feels good for a few minutes, maybe a few hours, but it disappears quickly, leaving you stuck exactly where you were. Results, on the other hand, keep paying you back. Every drop of effort, every hour of focus, every step forward builds something that lasts. That's the difference between living for the moment and living for your future. The mood gives you relief, but the result gives you pride. And pride lasts far longer than comfort ever could. You have to understand that feelings are not facts. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you're incapable. Just because you feel unmotivated doesn't mean you shouldn't take action. Just because fear creeps in doesn't mean you're not ready. Moods can lie, but results tell the truth. Results are the scoreboard of your consistency, the evidence of your persistence, the proof that you didn't let emotions control your destiny. And the most beautiful thing about results is that they don't vanish when the mood changes. They're permanent, tangible, and undeniable. Think about the times in your life when you pushed through even though you didn't feel like it. Maybe you didn't want to study, but you did, and you passed the exam. Maybe you didn't want to go to the gym, but you went, and you grew stronger. Those results are still with you today. You probably don't even remember the mood you were in when you took the action, but you remember the outcome. That's how life works. You won't look back and remember the days you were tired, but you'll always look back and see the results. That effort created. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who always feel like showing up. They are the ones who show up regardless of how they feel. They know that moods are fleeting, but results are forever. They don't chase motivation, they chase progress. They don't wait to feel ready, they get moving and let action create momentum. That's why they win. Because while everyone else is waiting to feel like it, they're stacking results that can't be erased by a bad day or a negative mood. Every time you choose results over moods, you invest in your future. And every time you choose moods over results, you steal from your future. The question is, which side are you on? Do you want the temporary satisfaction of giving in to a mood, or the lasting satisfaction of building results that change your life? Because one leads to regret, and the other leads to pride. And pride is not built on moods. It's built on the foundation of consistent effort, regardless of how you felt in the moment. The truth is, your emotions will always try to trick you into believing that today doesn't matter, that you can start tomorrow, that skipping one step won't change anything. But results are built by the accumulation of todays. Every action counts, every decision matters, and the person who ignores their moods long enough to keep moving forward will always outrun the person who waits for the right feeling. Moods are short-term, results are long-term, Moods give you excuses, results give you evidence, and when you look back years from now, you won't remember the moods. You'll only see the life those results created.